And just like that, we are back for another audio occasion, the podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. Once again, the podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. The EFS Podcast is back, and today on our quote on the way in, we got a legend for y'all. I'm going to just give him a round. Whoops, wrong. Cricket, sorry again. We're going to give him a round of applause just for the vibes he come into the pod with. Really appreciated this one, so we're going to let it fly for y'all. Oops, not that. Where's it at?
World class at what you
No, I don't think so. No, I'm talking about how you view yourself.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about those personal fears that stop people from moving forward.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? The main person that you have to be careful of when it comes to the trolling and the hate is the person in the mirror. Because you'll troll yourself.
Don't let that go over your head.
Believing or that you can't do something or accomplish something. So that's the person you really got to look out for. That's a bad motherfucker right there, that one in the mirror, telling you can't do some shit because you know all your own personal shit. So when you talk to yourself and you insert doubts, your shit is bulletproof. So you got to be mindful of that. You dig?
God damn.
EFS Podcast episode number 28 is back for another audio occasion as mentioned prior. Let's get this theme music rocking. Let's get this energy going in here. I got to carry the energy big time because as we can see, look a little different in here. It is a solo vibe, but either way, we are back for another episode number 28. One more time, air horns, couple times, air horns. Let it fly, let it fly. Round of applause for the gang. All the good stuff. Round of applause for the gang for coming back for another audio occasion. The gang being you guys, because today it is just me solo in the house. Rocking without no Waldo Black, but I am your host, D. Burke, and I'm here to present a amazing solo audio occasion for y'all. Shouts to the Stephen A. Smith, the Alex Coopers of the world. I'm going to present a solo podcast to you guys. Waldo wasn't able to record today, so you know he got to sit this one out. But I'm gonna hold it down for y'all, man. I got a couple things I want to talk about, a couple topics I want to touch on. So as we get this thing rolling, we will fade out our theme music. Thank you for coming to join the EFS Podcast. Once again, this is episode number 28. So if you have tuned in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on all platforms. That is the video version on Spotify with the pre-pod, video version on YouTube, and then the audio version on Apple. So all three platforms we are available. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. As always, we love the love and appreciate it. We'll get to some of that stuff as we go forward, because today, again, is really just me in here to talk to y'all, which is a little bit unlike what I'm used to. But I'm embracing it, man. As a content creator, you got to go about this things a few different ways. Just nowadays, and sometimes when shit hits the fan, more or less. So we here to let it rock, and not shit hits the fan in that way, because it's not like gloom or doom. But you know, content creation is a real thing for a lot of people, and you know, from the top of the year, it's been really a thing for me as a someone presenting myself to the world in a lot of different ways. So sometimes you got to adjust, and a lot of that is just what you got to go through. Early on, you hear the stories from the Mr. Beastes, like I said before, the Alice Coopers, the people who have really dug into this content thing and then made it grow for themselves and create a lane to where it's sustainable, number one, and two, like profitable and lucrative for a lot of these people. Not a lot, but a few of these people. Some of those that I just mentioned, it's like great to see. So for me, having the opportunity to do it since the top of the year, myself and the team with Waldo Black and everybody else who's helped contribute to whatever we've done so far, and then just myself, you know, I've learned a lot of things and wanted to open up the conversation today with the state of EFS. So I guess we'll roll right into it. For me, as you guys can see, for a lot of this year now, it's been almost 9 months of just straight content. From the top of the year in January to now in almost the end of August, headed into September. It's been a real fulfilling journey, and I've seen a lot of things happen for myself, but also kind of looked at the landscape of where things are at, where things are going, and how maybe I could fit into that, but also have gone through a lot of situations where you kind of get your ass kicked, and then you gotta, you know, pick yourself up off the ground and brush it off and keep pushing just to make sure that what you're doing is consistent, and then on top of that, hopefully growing, you know. So first and foremost, just feelings about where I'm at, we're at, you know, us as the EFS family, us as the people who are pushing towards things that they may have never done or seen before. Yeah, so just that perspective is kind of where I'm speaking from now. First and foremost on that, like what I've learned is that content creation is pretty hard. So shouts to all the people that have done it at a high clip, a high level for a long time. Like I show you guys that much more respect now, and I feel you guys just struggle to get to the point where you're at, to where you're able to have something like super, super dope that, again, the masses kind of accept and are able to like connect with and tap into. So the people that think you could just turn this camera shit on and it just happens so easily and flows and it's like just another thing, or just the people who don't have respect for the people who create content, or the people who are like the podcasters, the YouTubers, the whatever, like y'all should try this shit for like 2 months and then just really understand some of the work it actually takes to be able to do it. And just some of the things you guys have to go through to like make sure your shit is like legit, number one, and on top of that, like again, consistent, like I mentioned before, because consistency is one of the hardest things. You know, it's hard to make sure that you have enough time to do it, especially when it's not a thing to where it is your full-time thing. If you understand what I'm saying with that, like there's no budgets behind EFS. This is all funded behind like the sweat off my back, like my dollars, my contributions to the vision, the goal, the dream with this network that I've kind of put into place. And, you know, it's really just been me. So everything you see, everything you take in, just know like it's coming off of me. You know, I don't have a production team behind me. I don't have just a marketing budget for people to kind of really like tap into, to where your shit is just pushed and pumped to like a high level. You know, I've sought out some of these people who are like podcast coaches or content creator coaches just to, you know, give some outside perspective from some successful people who've already been doing it. But, you know, I haven't really leaned into that too much just yet, because all that's an investment. And I know a lot of the people that are content creators have to figure out, you know, how to fund the things that they're looking to do and looking to put out there to the world. But with that said, like, it's very, very big to make sure that you understand that early on it's just going to be you. So to do this in a quality way, it had to just be me, and I had to put a lot of my own, you know, things, and mainly dollars, and then time and effort and energy into it, just to make sure it's like sustainable. So just note that out the gate. And then noting that, it's not to say like it's a thing to where I'm bitter about any of the steps that I've taken, or just what I've seen and have had happen in that time. It's literally just like a part of the process that's, in a way, for those people who look at it in a positive mindset or positive like the people who are really grinding to make something out of it, it's just a stepping stone, and it kind of like makes you feel like sharper and makes you feel a little bit more motivated about getting to like whatever the goal is, you know, with that. So it's crazy to stay consistent, and finding the time to do it is hard, especially in my line of work, which I try not to shout out too much on here, just because, you know, that's a separate thing for me. And this is a whole nother stepping stone, a platform that I'm building on, you know. But having the schedule that I got, and on top of that, being able to push this thing out on a weekly basis has been super, super like something to be proud of, you know, and just make sure that I give myself a little bit of grace in the path and the process to where I'm trying to go, but also understanding that you come a long way to be able to do this on a consistent basis for, you know, 8 months now. And then, you know, having people to look up to who've done it for years and years, like, you know, I want to see how it feels like when I get to a year, and, you know, I want to see what it looks like when I get to 2 years in. But just having that start is like a big, like, pat on the back in a lot of ways. So, you know, shouts to me for being able to make it this far, just to give myself a little bit of grace and confidence. And not for nothing, I've had a little bit of help. Like, Waldo Black has been super, super, like, just dive in on just whatever, just because he knows me and he fucks with me that heavy. And he's contributed in a lot of ways too, to kind of get the ball rolling on things, or just keep me like grounded in the right space to say like, yo, you know, let's start thinking about this. Let's make sure we're doing this. And like that's been helpful. He's also put some of his money into the situation too. So for having a person that, you know, this doesn't have to be his dream, it's been super like helpful to have that person like on my hip as far as we take steps side by side towards the overall goal. You know, obviously being my thing, I feel a little bit stronger about it, and that's where I gotta you know, stamp my extra effort into it. And again, like I said, it's just been super fulfilling and all of that to see what I've had and what I've grown and where we're going potentially in the future. You know, and that said, it's like dope. Again, this content thing and just having the chance to present myself to you guys in the world has been super, super fulfilling. And I can't really express sometimes how some of y'all actually impact me, by having an impact on y'all lives and y'all daily situations, just because I try not to, have those long and full conversations with people like outside of here, when it comes to podcasts and things. A lot of it is just like, yo, yeah, I appreciate the love, et cetera, et cetera. But seeing the people who have tuned in consistently up to this point is super dope. And having that consistency from you guys lets me know that I'm doing the right thing, and understanding that people are going to connect with what you're doing also helps me to understand that the next steps that I'm taking towards it make it grow even more. I keep telling myself, if I can get 5 people to listen, then I can get 15 people to listen. If I can get 15 people to listen, then I can get 50 people to listen. That mindset is just where I'm going at it with this thing, because I believe like my message and my input on things is like a big thing to try to connect with you guys on, just because I'm not doing it from a perspective of me trying to talk to y'all necessarily, but me trying to live along with y'all, as we all go through this life and are striving towards things or growing, whatever, that for me is what impacts me from you guys, to have that feedback. So I know I'm doing the right thing, and having comments from people like, I forget the person's name, but they made a comment on our YouTube page, which was on one of the episodes, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, so we on 28, so say roughly 24, 25, the person, it was the one comment on the episode, and it was from someone who said, "Here before this goes viral." So from having someone who I don't even know from God knows where, like I haven't looked into it that much, because I get so wrapped up in it, I just saw it in passing, was just like, yo, this is dope, and I told that story to a couple people, because it really hit me, like, damn, I got one person saying that from wherever, and whoever that one person is, again, there could be 50 more people if you just stay consistent and keep on pushing and take the strides and the steps that you're looking to take, So all of that is growth. All of that is growth from where we started, and all of that is growth to where, where we're looking to go. So shouts to y'all in all the feedback that I've gotten to where we at now. And again, I want to stay consistent and make this thing a real thing, even so much that when nobody is available to pod, I got to present something to y'all. So today it's going to be a lot of that kind of talk. And then we'll get to some current stuff, and just having the opinions of myself be sprinkled on a couple of things. We'll get to it. But for now, I just wanted to take time to let you know the status of EFS and where everything is at. We've had a little bit of hiccups recently, and that's been something that we had to work through. Couple of videos, couple of audio things got messed up, because I'm learning new skills as I go through this thing, and learning to, what to make sure I'm doing and what to make sure I'm not doing, so I can stay on point with everything, and having accountability with myself to say, all right, you fucked that one up, so let's make sure we get this one right. So a couple of things have happened recently, some video things, some audio things, but we'll clean that up as we go forward. One thing I needed to let y'all know going forward, that the new drop dates will be on Wednesdays rather than Saturdays, as they've been for forever now, pretty much. Saturdays is our normal day. We're going to change to Wednesdays just because it's a little bit more manageable for myself, and the changes in my life that I'm currently going through, to make sure that the content is consistent and have time to make sure it's presented properly. So Wednesday is going to be the new days as of this drop, which is going to come out on Wednesdays. But going forward, Wednesdays is just a day, man. And, thank you for rocking with us with that, and all the hiccups and everything that you've seen that, or might have even noticed. I don't know what you guys catch, but we'll make sure that internally that things are right going forward. But I really appreciate you guys rocking. But Wednesday is going to be the new day, and that'll just be it. So keep a lookout. Wednesdays, all of that. And yeah, that's pretty much it on the state of EFS. Everything is good. Everything is on the up and up. Waldo's not here just because he couldn't be here. And again, we moving. So going forward, man, we're going to get into some current things, just to present you guys with some opinions, and just to get my takes off on a couple of things that have happened recently that are, kind of hot, and especially for me as an athlete, a basketball player. Number one, we'll dive into the Ant Edwards, the comments that have recently come out about his stance on the players in the 90s, the old era versus the new era, the conversation that we've been going through for years and years now, and this is now the next little sprinkle in the bucket of that conversation. So, Ant Edwards, as we get to what he said, got to pull it up here. it kind of grinded my gears just because I'm like, oh, and I like you, I like you and you said this, and here's where I got to really try to, educate you or go in on you a little bit. And it ain't even really going in, but it's with love, and it's with love. It really is, because I like you as a player. We've been very vocal that we are fans of you at the EFS Podcast, especially after these Olympics too, to everything you did. Shouts to you, bro. But right now you bugging, and we got to call you to the carpet as a basketball player. All right, so Ant, he basically said, and the comments were out on the skill growth in the NBA. He made comments about this. Comments are, they say it was tougher back then, referring to the 90s era, whatever, the old school. Then they say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. What? Repeat, I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill. So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, oh my God. But now everybody has skill. Yeah, Ant, you bugging, my man. I'm sorry you bugging. I got to go big crickets on that. I wish I had a boo to everything you just said. And I know a lot of it is the fact that you are a newer, younger basketball player. You just really got to the league. Not like you ain't even been in the league 10 years now, and you from the newer generation of people and these like younger, whatever generation you want to call it. And a lot of them are just very, like, they don't really have a good understanding of things in the past. Now, from my era, when I was coming up in your age, like you 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, like I had a huge respect for everything that came before me and understanding how things got to where I'm at a point where I'm able to eat and create a life or a lane for myself off of something that I actually love. And I ain't make it to the NBA, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm on your level or was on your level or anything like that, but just being honest, basketball has been basketball for a long time. So just being able to watch basketball as a basketball player, you should understand that comments like nobody had skill back then except Mike, because you're going to show the utmost praise to Mike because who's not? But end of the day, bro, you bugging out. You bugging out. Players have had skill for a long time before you even sniffed picking up a basketball as a young kid, and I know KD's your favorite player, very skillful athlete, skillful player in general. So I'm not knocking anything about KD's game, but players were skilled before KD, like years and years before KD. So on top of that, you saying that players weren't that skilled or Mike was the only one that has skill. You then say that now everybody has skill, which I can understand. I would say, as a person who has watched the game for a long time, been a part of the game for a long time, I do think across the board, players are more skilled with the fundamentals of basketball, the things they're able to do with the ball, how they can manipulate it this way, and their footwork goes this way and that. Well, like, yeah, all that shit is picked up. So I guess players are more skilled, but I think that's the evolution of the game. But players being able to play in a game that has gotten a lot softer and has had more freedom for them to use their skill to manipulate whatever situation they can on a basketball court to affect themselves or their team as far as scoring, points, this is that, whatever. Like, all that shit is cool. But at the end of the day, the game is a lot different now in general, too. So some of the quote-unquote skills that players are allowed to get away with now are the things that have happened to where they've grown, or, again, the evolution of the game wasn't really that prominent back then because the style of play didn't lend to that, And I don't really think you was watching a lot of these dudes back then. And so I'm going to give you my list of a few guys that if you say Mike was the only one had skill, you must have not been watching basketball. And I know you weren't watching basketball like that because you may have been too young, but you should have some people who are OGs around you or just people that know a little bit better. Hopefully they called you. Because I'm going to be the one to call you right now via the internet. And we just going to go through a few on my list. If we just going to go guards, of course we know Mike is the pinnacle. Mike is Mike, whatever, But Clyde Drexler was also a very skilled basketball player. Watched him. He gave Mike problems. In a lot of series, a lot of situations, like he gave Mike problems often. He gave a lot of people problems, which is why he's one of the better basketball players in the 90s in general. Penny Hardaway in the 90s. Come on now. Penny had handle. Penny could shoot the ball. Penny could pass. Penny could do a lot of different things that a very versatile player. So he wasn't just skilled at one thing. So I don't know. Like who's showing you 90s clips is what I'm saying. Are you watching these 90s clips? Because you've been in basketball a long time. I know your coach who coached you in college, Tom Crean, he coached me in college. So I do understand what Tom Crean preaches and the kind of people that he puts in front of his basketball players and like exposes them to. Tom Crean was one of the first people that told me watch film of Boris Diaw because he was like, I think your game could like mirror his. This is while I'm in college. So all throughout college at that point, I'm watching Boris Diaw, just trying to say, all right, let me pick up this, let me pick up that, let me make sure I can be as versatile as he's a big body. He can also pass. He can shoot a little bit. He could penetrate. Like all those different things were what I was like looking at because people I was being schooled by showed me. So I don't understand how somebody doesn't get you to understand how skilled players were back then too. Keeping it guard, we'll go point guards. John Stockton, bro. Come on. John Stockton wasn't skilled? I'm going to let you think on that. Let y'all think on that. John Stockton, very skilled basketball player. If we're talking handles, Tim Hardaway, very skilled basketball player as far as able to handle the ball and put a lot of people on skates back then in the 90s. Rod Strickland, just throwing out another one. John Starks, we're throwing out another one. Reggie Miller, I ain't even get to him yet. I ain't even get to Reggie yet. Skilled basketball player. Sure, Steph broke the record in a lot less time than Reggie was, whatever. We understand all that. But again, that's the progression of the game. But Reggie was a dog, and he was very, very skilled as well. So I don't know who's, again, going back to who's schooling you or who's helping you understand this level of skill back then was still high level. Maybe it's a little bit different now, and we give all that credit. But you can't shit on the whole era to say Mike was the only skilled person. We can move forward to the forward position. Charles Barkley. Come on, man. Charles Barkley was a 90s player. Very skilled. Round, mound, to rebound, and all that shit. Yeah, you got credit for being tough and a bigger guy, but Charles Barkley was skilled, could handle the ball, could pass, couldn't really shoot it, but great finisher at the rim. Like, come on, these are skills that you players try to master today as well. David Robinson, skilled as a big man. Skilled. Super skilled. Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the most skilled big men ever, in my opinion. Come on. The Dream Shake? The Dream Shake? Are you serious? The Dream Shake? Where do you think people got all that shit from in the post? Like, that's Hakeem, bro. And Hakeem in his primes was a dog and very, very skilled as a big man. So I don't know where these young people are getting their information from. And it's all out there. It's on YouTube. So it's not like you can't see it. You can't find it if you really want it for you to say something like nobody had skill. Like, come on. And again, I'm not shitting on the young people because I have understood lately that it's not about my opinion on what they should think, but it's also about trying to educate them. They're in a different perspective, and I know as a young kid that I probably didn't think the same way as a lot of the people come from before me thought, which is also fine too. Like, certain shit just progresses, but sometimes you just got to reel it back in. And again, Ant, like, really, really respect you as a basketball player, bro. I'm seeing you growing. I'm seeing the things you're doing, but players from the 90s not having no skill was a bug out, on my opinion. And I know you riding high. You putting out freestyles with yourself on the gold medal. Like, you run around. You've been with KD. You here, you there. I see you working on your game. You putting out your workout clips and all that shit. I respect it. So I like where you're going, but sometimes you just got to get called to the carpet because you're a little bit off on this one. Not even a little bit. You big off on this one. And sometimes it takes somebody who might have seen it a little bit different than you because I'm older than you. Gotta let you know. But we'll see what happens next season, man. I'm really looking forward to everything coming up with the NBA. But I mean, yeah, that one was a little bit off. A little bit off for me, man. Moving forward, another NBA guy, I guess we'll get to him because he's also out here doing a lot. Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown has been in the news over this weekend, at least, for his drop on the potential Nike disc with A$AP Ferg. Is it A$AP Ferg anymore? I see it's Ferg, whatever his name is, the song out there. So what is it called? Just Do It. I guess we could play a little snippet of it and see, what y'all people think of the bars from our guy Jaylen Brown, Hear it. What do you got?
Longevity, or I'll probably give her that long. When she go to sleep, she make me wrap her in her arm. Before she wake up, Forrest Gump, I'll be gone, and she think I'm about to. She out here committing felony.
Yeah, man, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown as a rap artist. We've seen it before, most notably, most recently, Dame Dollar, and Dame actually could rap. I ain't gonna lie. Dame could actually rap. I like that one project he put out. It was a few years ago. I forget the name of it. But Dame, I do respect some of his lyricism. He's had songs with Meek and Ross most recently. He was on their album that just dropped last year. So Dame has done this thing rap-wise, but throughout history, we know a lot of guys that tried to rap. AI, Kobe, Shaq, it's not a new thing for artists to come from the basketball world to transition on over, to make that jump or make that leap. I don't really like Jaylen Brown as a rapper, I guess off this one piece that I've heard. Not much flow, sounds very just melatonin, which is fine. There's some rappers that are like that, but the flow of the bars wasn't there for me. I don't really like the song. I think that Jaylen Brown should do whatever the fuck he feels like right now. You're the NBA champion. You're the finals MVP. You got left off the Olympic team, so it's probably a little bit of energy around that. Just the more fuck you that he's going around with and just doing whatever. So I do respect that, Like to the victor goes the spoils. Do what you want to do, Hopefully he's ready for next season. I see him out there jumping in pools, doing whatever kind of workout with the mask on. Not that pool workouts are new. A lot of people was bugged out, like, oh, he's in the pool. Like, people have been doing that for a long time now. But, with the song thing, I don't really know, man. I would stay away from making other records because that shit sounded like hot garbage to me, But do what you want. That's just my perspective. And we'll see what you got going on this season coming up, defending your championship. So I guess from there, we can transition, still music, but not athletes in music, I guess. Yeah, even though he's tied to a lot of the athletes. He hates LeBron now, which is a whole nother thing. But Drake, man, he dropped this little 3-pack over the weekend. If you were listening for the pre-pod, then you heard me speak on it then. But if this is the actual regular pod for the people on YouTube, such and such, we will dive into it a little bit. I like 2 of the 3 records that he put out. The Circadian Rhythm one and the No Face one was decent. Those 2 was cool. I'm not mad about those at all. The other one, I forget the name of it. I ain't gonna look it up right now. It was all right. 100 gigs is still a thing with Drake too. So I see he's putting out a lot of things right now to try to, win the people back. Like you've heard me say on prior episodes, or just, do something. I don't know. Like Lawaldo was saying, he's trying to figure out, what the people are into and trying to reel them in from there, and strategies and all that. So I don't really know what he's doing. I know the 100 gigs thing is getting updated, and he put out some stuff recently. Just even more cementing himself as the boy over the past decade to 15 years and all that. Yeah, I see it. It's cool. I want to see a collective body of work from you. What comes up next in that regard? So give me a full package. Let me know where the updated Drake is at, and then I'll make a judgment from there. Few songs he put out last time was cool. Next ones he put out this time was cool. I'm still waiting for the next album, the next real piece of, things that you are putting out, like whether it be a mixtape, whether it be an actual LP, like whatever you're putting out, I want that to be the next stamp. See where you at after this Kendrick thing, My perspective has been my perspective. I ain't gonna give Drake too much time as far as the music goes, just because he gets a lot of time, and I'm tired of talking about it in a lot of different ways. But y'all need it, and I understand that too, because it's hot and it's out there. Drake did though, maybe potentially do something with an artist that I really, really fuck with, and I like, that I'm not too happy about, but I know that some of it is me being selfish, and I just want that artist to go through whatever they're going to go through. But my boy Benny the Butcher, Benny the Butcher dropped a 3-piece or 3-pack, 3 whatever you want to call it, over this past weekend, and it was fire. He had a song with Drake on there, he had a song with Fab on there, and he had a song with 38 Special, which is nothing really new. He's got a lot of songs with 38 Special, but 3-pack was dope. I think it was called Buffalo Butch or something. Most recently, before this project, he put out a longer joint called Summertime Butch. So this is like another little sprinkle after that he tried to put out. Put it out on Friday, listen to the joint, and then by the time Friday evening hits, the whole shit is fucking taken down. 3 fire records. I liked all of those records, and I was really happy to be in the space where I got a bunch of Benny music in a short amount of time. That was really, really good music. So I don't really understand what happened with that. My feeling was that Drake involved himself somehow. And I only know this just because when the project came out fully. Not project, I don't want to call it a project, but when the 3-pack came out fully, it had all 3 songs in it. The order of the songs was the one with 38 Special, number 1. And one in the middle was the one with Drake. And then the last one was the one with Fab. Listened to it a few times in the morning, gave the records a few spin, went to work out a couple clients, came back from that. When I came back from working out the clients, the Drake record was gone on Spotify. The shit never came out on Apple, which is another thing that I found a little bit weird, because when he put it out in a post on Instagram, he said, coming out on all the platforms, blah, 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 whatever. So Apple Music was on there. It never came out on Apple. So I don't understand what the fuck happened with that. And then from there, for it to be a 3-pack, and then the one with the Drake record is removed first from the whole pack, which I'm sure people caught if you were listening to it throughout the day like I was, came back to it later, all 3 songs is gone. Gone. Like, where did the songs go? Did Benny take it down? Did his label make him take it down? Like, who made him take it down? He hasn't said anything about it, which I'm pretty sure he feels like it might not be our business. But again, as the selfish consumer, I wanted my Benny records because all those things were fire. All 3 of them was heat. And I'm a Benny fan. Been a fan for a long time now. I'll probably say since 2018. So anytime Benny dropped music, he's one of the people that I will rush to go put later music. So when it came out, I rushed to it, and then as the day went along, I wasn't able to get back to it because piece by piece got snatched down off of all the DSPs. What the fuck? So my personal feeling is that somehow Drake may have been involved just because same evening, same day, Drake puts out his 3-pack, which he puts out on his site or his burner account or whatever they calling it. And it's not an actual release on Apple or Spotify or whatever. Maybe he's trying to see if it hits first and then put it on there like he did with the last batch of records that he put out. But for me, for the Drake record to come off the Benny Project first, then the whole Benny Project gets snatched down, and then Drake puts out his 3-pack of music the same day. For me, there was something a little bit fishy. I know it's music game politics, music game bullshit, so I don't really know too much about it. It just looks a little funny to me if you shine a light on it, is all I'm saying. You know, y'all think what y'all think. All I can say is that my perspective is Drake may have stepped on Benny shit. And until I'm proven wrong, then I'm going to run with that. And that's that, man, on the music side. Next up, we'll get to our Real Talk segment, which is very, very close to heart for me today, just because the Real Talk segment comes off of an area that I feel one of the most vulnerabilities with in my life. Now, as you know, Real Talk segment for us can be anything from relationship to business to family to whatever. And sometimes the talks are a little bit more lighthearted. Sometimes the talks are a little bit more serious. This one, to me, feels a lot more serious, even if it may not be for everyone out there. And I know as a person, my feelings may not have to be yours, and it's all just fine. And some things you can't connect with me just because you haven't been in that position in your life, your path, your whatever. So today's Real Talk segment is going to come on with the concept of being a girl dad. Now, with respect to all parties involved, I like to speak on my relationship with my kid, my daughter, and all things surrounding her with the utmost delicacy when it comes to being in a public setting or public format, which is now, you know, this content thing in YouTube. And I know some people may know why my relationship is the way it is with my daughter for a specific reason, not the relationship with her, but, you know, but just being plain, like me and her mother are no longer together. So on top of being a girl dad, I'm a single girl dad. So I guess the topic comes off of being single girl dad, which is a very unique perspective that some people can, you know, connect with. I'm sure there's a lot of dudes out there who stand-up fathers that are there for their kids and are fathers to daughters. And some of y'all may not know shit about it, because I know there's a lot of y'all deadbeat motherfuckers out there that aren't really there for your kids or aren't really there for the girl kids versus being there for the boy kids because you prefer being a father to young boys turning to men rather than young girls turning to women. Whatever your path is in life, it's all fine, it's all fair. Again, all feelings are real. From my perspective, today's Real Talk comes from being a single girl dad, just because it is a very unique perspective that I don't think gets shown enough light or respect, and also comes with a point where, as men, we need to connect because being a girl dad is very different, you know, and all kids are different. So it's not to say that everyone's experience is the exact same, but for me, in my personal experience, I think that being a girl dad is often challenging because me as a man who's conscious enough or just self-aware enough to note that I am not a person that deals with emotions very well in life, I would say. I guess a little bit better as of recent years, going through my process with therapy and all that. Being a person who doesn't connect with emotions very well and knowing that women and, you know, young girls and all that are very emotional creatures sometimes, not creatures, but things or beings is what I'll put it as, emotional beings. Sometimes it takes me the right words to find myself, but being a girl dad is tough because for me, sometimes I don't really know how to connect with certain emotions that I know my daughter may be going through, or I'm far removed from having to connect with those emotions because as a child, certain things that look, feel, and are a way that, you know, I've been so far out of it as a 38-year-old adult that I don't, you know, really understand how to tap into those anymore, you know, or, you know, it doesn't connect with me that quickly. So that is one of the struggles that I feel like as a girl dad that doesn't get talked about enough, just because it's hard for men who are oftentimes not as emotional to meet children where they are, you know, in that way. And especially young girls, because young girls require a certain kind of attention. Young girls require certain, like, specific, like, guidance in a way that it's tough because every girl dad fears their daughter turning out to be something that they, you know, isn't presentable, you know, as a woman, you know, and not to say not presentable because that also sounds way, but in general, like every girl dad fears their daughter turning into like that one, and we'll just leave it at that, you know, if you know. That said, how you connect with them when they are that young is as a man is very important to their growth, their path, their development. And I think that sometimes it's tough just because as men, we don't really understand that side of it. So being a girl dad has caused me to even more tap into myself emotionally because I know that I now, as a single girl dad, have to be someone who is able to support my daughter's emotion that much more. Not to say that her mother doesn't, and I'm, you know, give all credit to her in that regard. Like, I'm not just gonna say that we are not partners in this. So she does get a lot from her mother, but when she's with me, when it's specific time that I have with her, I need to be able to be a lot of different things for her. Her protector, her provider, the one who gets her food, the one who makes her breakfast, the one who helps her clean her room, the one who does this is that, but also the one to be able to help her walk through this life from an emotional perspective, because that is where a lot of trauma for children comes from that may seep into their later years in their later life, like emotional trauma. Physical trauma is one thing. I don't really feel like me and my daughter have that kind of issues to worry about just because, you know, I'm not an abusive person in that way. So it's really just the small emotional things that can help be her path to being a strong, independent, but also emotional person, or someone who can let their emotions get the best of them to where they're not able to cope with certain things in their life, or not able to, you know, withstand situations that don't go their way, or like all those things, you know, are things that I have to be someone as a man when she's not with her mother to be able to keep her on line, but also massage her along the path, you know. So being a girl dad for me has been tough, and I think that it's not a thing that's tough to where I'm not happy to be in this position, but it does often make you check yourself emotionally to be able to stay on path with your child, you know. And I know a lot of men out there, as I mentioned, are stand-up dudes who are there for their children and there for their their development and their growth. And salute to y'all. Y'all a special kind of man, so I'll make sure I give y'all the round of applause that y'all deserve. A couple of air horns to that as well. But if y'all can connect with that, of course, the conversations is open. It's an open forum, open platform. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you got to do to let me know how you feeling, because I do think as men and people we need to support each other in that way, you know. So from myself to y'all doing a great job. give yourself the grace, give yourself the credit. I oftentimes have to do that for myself because one of my worries, my biggest worries as a parent is if I'm doing a good enough job. And that comes with parenting all across. But for me, even more so, as I said with some of these things with being a girl dad, like I really got to check myself. Like, so I have a lot of internal conversations about how I'm presenting myself to my daughter. And that's only because I'm self-aware enough to try to be able to do it in the right way or try to do it in the right way, I'd say, because you never really know what your kids are going to end up turning out to be. Like they're growing to be their own human. You just got to guide them along the right path. So for me, today's Real Talk comes along with that. So to the dudes, the stand-up dudes that's out there supporting your children and doing the right thing, stay on the path. Whether it's a boy dad, girl dad, the single dad, stay on the path because y'all are necessary. Y'all are vital. Y'all are important. And you are the grounding for your future generation, your children, the ones you've, spawned. So that said, man, keep that in mind and just keep it pushing. Today's quote for the day, which we'll wrap up, it's going to be a little bit short on the pod today. Obviously, it's just me, but definitely want to make sure you guys have some quality content. Is going to come from a person who's a great girl dad, at least presented that way before his unfortunate passing. And I got to show Kobe some love. It was his birthday that was recently, I think, Friday. But either way, Kobe, we've given him mad love on here before. Y'all know how I feel about Kobe. One of the best to ever do it. One of the best skill players to ever freaking do it. So today's quote will come from Kobe. But before the quote, I wanted to play something from the Gilbert Arenas podcast about Kobe not getting the respect that he deserves among the ranks of the greatest of all time players. And Gilbert said it best on here, and I really connected with what he said, so I'm going to give it to y'all on the pod.
Kobe special in player's mind, right? In a player's mind himself, right? It has, we don't go by your stats. We don't go by the accolades. We go by how the person played, what was his attributes, right? Mm-hmm. So when you think about the greatest players of all time, 90-80% of them have God gift of natural talent, ability, body, Fact. Right? So Jordan, 48-inch vertical, right? You got the big hands, right? Fact. You got LeBron, right? You have Shaquille O'Neal, right? Then Magic, 6'9" point guard with vision. Kobe, standard. Mm-hmm. If I give you 6'6", and then took every 6'6" guard in the NBA and NBA history, you would never find him. You would see Jordan because there he is, right? You would never find Kobe because he didn't have big hands, right? He wasn't quick, he wasn't fast. 38-inch vertical, that's standard. Like if you don't have a 38-inch vertical, you're not even a shooting guard in today's game, right? And what he did with that body, it's like you took a S500 and he was pushing it like a Bugatti.
Mm-hmm. And that's that, man. Like, I connect with all that shit, man. Kobe definitely does not get enough praise for being one of the greatest of all times. I know LeBron and Michael is one of the biggest conversations, but for me, if Kobe ain't in that conversation, then you also bugging. Like, if you look at what that man did as a basketball player, self-made, again, he wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the person with the super, like, God-given gift that, like, a lot of these guys have. Like, that man worked his ass off and got 5 championships out of that shit. I know he's had things in the past in the media to where, like, it was the whole Kobe image thing with the rape charge and all that other shit. We saw what that came to be. And I think a lot of the reason why Kobe doesn't get that love and Kobe doesn't get that respect is because of that and his tarnished image. Because for some people, he's always forever going to be known as that really, really good basketball player who had that super big stain on his, on his image, that little chink in his armor, which is what it is. We can't really dive too much into that. I hate to even put that much negative energy out on his name for someone who's given so much great things to the world. And has unfortunately passed, which we all know. But for me, Kobe's big, man. So Today, we are going to try to wrap this thing up with a Kobe quote. The one I will go with, oh man, look at me. I can't even find a fucking Kobe quote. All right, cool. The one we will go with is a lot of people say that they want to be great, but they're not willing to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve greatness. They have other concerns, whether important or not, and they spread themselves out. That's totally fine. After all, greatness is not for everybody. So let that one sink in. Greatness is not for everybody. And sometimes those other concerns, whether it be self-doubt, whether it be the distractions, whether it be all those things can take you off path for your goal. Like, you know, greatness isn't for everybody, because the ones that are tough-minded and also focused. And I think that quote really embodies the energy that I want to leave y'all with today. So with that said, one more time, if you made it this far, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It is a lonely road, but sometimes someone's got to walk it. Hope y'all like the new digs. We got a little table in here for y'all. For those people who can see, you know, those of you who are audio listeners, check out the video. Check out the video, you know. We've upgraded things a little bit in here. Try to make this thing a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And, you know, if you like it, of course, drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know, and we appreciate the love as always. But the EFS Podcast, the podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation, is out. Episode 28. Catch y'all on the next go-around. Peace.